Greetings and welcome to day number 4 of our 21 days of prayer and fasting for the year 2016. I'm Joe Jackson, one of the co-pastors here at the church at Wellington. Let me get right to our devotions. Taken out of Exodus chapter number 13, verse number 19, I've entitled it simply, Dragging Old Bones. Here's what the verse says. It says, Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had placed the children of Israel under a solemn oath, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from here with you. What follows today will, on the surface, seem to go against the theme of this year's season of prayer and fasting, go forward. But listen closely, and I will explain this just a little bit. The reason that the Israelites were in Egypt in the first place goes back many generations. We pick up the story with Joseph, perhaps a favored son, but there was that coat of many colors incident with Joseph being sold into slavery and winding up as a servant in the palace in Egypt. By the time that Joseph was about 30 years old, God had directed his pathway so that he had risen to become a very powerful man in Pharaoh's court. At the same time, the Israelites were experiencing a terrible famine, which drove them to seek help within the borders of Egypt. Joseph, because of his position, was able to help his brothers, the ones who had sold him into slavery, but in so doing, he was able to provide for what will be the entire nation of Israel. Before he died, Joseph had made his brothers promise that when God delivered Israel from Egypt, their descendants would take his coffin with them to the promised land. Joseph knew that God would keep his promise, rescue the children of Israel. Joseph also knew that he belonged in the land of Canaan with his people. So what did this coffin mean to the generations of Jews who lived during the years of terrible bondage in Egypt? Certainly the Jews could look at Joseph's coffin and be encouraged. After all, the Lord cared for Joseph during his trials and finally delivered him, and so God would care for the nation of Israel also and eventually set them free. When they arrived in their land, the Jews kept their promise, buried Joseph with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Question, is it idolatrous to have visible reminders of God's faithfulness? Not necessarily yet. You see, you find several significant monuments just in the one book of Joshua. When Israel crossed the Jordan River, they put up a monument of stones on the far side or on the far shore to commemorate what God had done. They also put stones on Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim to remind them of God's law. A heap of stones bore witness of Achan's treachery, and a witness stone was a reminder of Israel's rededication after the conquest of the land. Samuel set up a stone to commemorate Israel's victory over the Philistines and called it Ebenezer, which means the stone of help. As long as we keep obeying the Lord, these kind of reminders can encourage our faith. The important thing is that they point to the Lord and not to the dead past. That we continue to walk by faith and obey the Lord today. Be encouraged to keep careful records of what God does for you, especially during this time of fasting. It will serve as a reminder of his faithfulness and an encouragement which will surely build your faith today. Hey, may God bless you, and remember this, you serve a great God, and so you can fully expect great things from him. We will see you here tomorrow.